Back in the early part of the year, we were sort of brainstorming in the Korda office of a series that I could do that I could really get motivated for. I want to be fishing for big carp, you know, I want to be fishing for 40-pounders, you know, that's what I want to catch. We come up with the idea of going to UK day ticket lakes that anybody could fish. You know, the whole point of it was to get across to people and do the sort of fishing that they're doing, but whilst still fishing for a 40-pounder. By going to different lakes each week, we'd get loads of different tactics in and we'd catch some nice fish along the way, while always maintaining that you're always striving for that one big fish. And that's the thing that really gets you going, makes you work hard, makes you do what you need to do. Really in big carp fishing is you learn the lake, you get better, you understand what the fish do, where they go, where the spots are, catch a few fish and then the big ones come. But by just going to one-off sessions, you never really build up any picture. So when it happened at the second time of asking, you know, it was totally unexpected. I think that's bigger than we think. Oh guys, you've got to check this out. We decided for the first part to go to Walthamstow, which is a days only venue. And immediately on a day only venue, you are up against it. The fish have the potential to feed at night during the hours of daylight when everyone's casting. They can just stop feeding or not be feeding. And yeah, it can be very difficult. And we were driving, you know, I'm coming from Chelmsford to Walthamstow, which is a fair old drive. And getting there on the gate, I think the gates open at, I think it was 7 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was getting there an hour before the gates open to just peer through the fence and be looking for any subtle signs, activity, because it's a big lake, you know, Walthamstow. Fish could be anywhere on that 30, 40 acres. And just by casting anywhere, the fish are not evenly distributed around the lake. And if you can't put a bait near them, then you've got no chance of catching them. And just by getting to that gate and looking in the morning, you may be catching the end of the nighttime activity that they can do when you're not there. And hopefully that was going to lead to a capture. So on day one at Walthamstow, I headed to sort of an area in the middle of the lake. There used to be an old bird table out there, and it was a good area where a lot of fish used to get caught. I've just seen one. I've been here 5 hours trying to find them. You know, I could have got my rods out straight away, but on a lake this size, it's so important to find them first, and that is the sign I was waiting for. To be honest, conditions are as bad as they get, you know, it's very minimal wind, but with that sign, I've got a chance. I'm going to get my 3 pop-up rigs out there. They're allowing me to present over any minimal sort of debris out there, and these bright hook baits should stand out enough to draw the attention of the carp. Failing that, I'll be on my toes as soon as I see anything, and in typical Walthamstow fashion, I'll move if I do. Oh, it's more like it. 3 days I've driven that distance there, 3 days I've driven that distance back. You know, you're not getting a lot of sleep, and I just think that we had conditions that don't suit day fishing, you know, sunshine, not much wind. Yeah, I didn't really feel at any point during that session that I was close to catching a fish, let alone a 40-pounder. And I'm using tactics that have worked for me many times in the past, you know, the naked chod rig. These tactics, they work for big fish, but on this occasion, on days only, the planets didn't align, and that is the crux of big carp fishing, you know. You don't get it right every single time, otherwise they'd just be normal-sized carp. Big carp, by their nature, are hard to catch, and they should be. If that was as bad as it could be, then the next part at Yately demonstrates the complete flip side of that. So I had a good walk round, looked for some fish. There was very few people around, it was really quiet, which is rare for a busy day ticket lake like Sandhurst to be that quiet. But the planets had aligned, you know, it was perfect, you know, overcast, looked good, saw fish jumping in the middle of the lake. And I always think when you're targeting a lake that's got a lot of fish, you know, somewhere like Sandhurst, if you find a clear spot in the middle of the lake, then you're never far wrong. You know, the fish are often generally pushed to the middle by the angling pressure from each bank, and also if the fish are down one end, they've only got to move halfway back to meet you in the middle. It's a weedy lake, Sandhurst. It's really, really weedy with Canadian. And it's all good having the fish in front of you, but if you can't present your bait, then it can be difficult to catch them. And I had a sort of tactic in my mind that I was going to be looking for like a large clear spot, preferably gravel, and I was going to be keeping my rods all fishing on one spot accurately over a lot of bait. And again, that's a great tactic for somewhere like Sandhurst, which is well stocked. You know, I think the 300-400 carp or something is supposed to be present in there. One of the bays told me there was a gravel spot at 21 rod lengths towards sort of a hole in the trees. So I had a few casts out towards this, and eventually I sort of plumbed a little bit left, and I settled on, I think it was 21 rod lengths and 8 feet, 21 and 8 feet, so just over 21 rod lengths, and it was just a little bit left of where he'd said. There was a pointy tree on the horizon, and I could just, as I cast to the back of the spot, it would come off a weed bed, you'd feel it fall down onto the gravel, and then as you tightened back into lead after it fell off the weed bed, it was just the most purry gravel, you know, it was just perfect. And it wasn't that big, I would say all 3 rods needed to be within 6 foot, so there were only like 3 foot between the rigs. So I've really meticulously plumbed this clear spot. I've worked out the distance, where to hold the rod to make sure that I'm not hooking the back of the weed bed on the lead's descent, and making sure all 3 rigs come down at the same distance. So I'd done that, got onto the gravel spot perfectly, clipped, marked, everything. I knew which tree I had to cast at, and then it was a case of getting some bait out of there. You know, most people's sort of spod mix will be derived from hemp with a bit of other stuff in it, whereas I went down the lines of the majority of the mix being tigers, some 8mm boilies and a little bit of hemp. And tigers are a brilliant, brilliant bait. There's myths and rumours that they're bad for carp, but used in sensible quantities, then they're not bad for carp. The carp enjoy eating them. They have an amazing pulling power, and the sugars that when you boil them that come out of those baits, when you soak that into your boilies, like the 8mm ISO sweets, which I did in this piece, they really, really taste good to the fish, and they enjoy them, there's no doubt about that. And then all you need is the weather. The planets, they truly aligned. Not only was nobody there, the swim where the fish were showing was free. If you get the wrong weather, they could suddenly just turn on to spawn. And we had the exact opposite of that. They were obviously supercharged by the spring weather. We had a nice low pressure come in, you know, proper bit of rain, windy. And from that first night, I literally put the rods out just before first light, the first take of the session, and I catch a 38 pounder. Whoa. Here at Sandhurst Lake, and on the first night I've caught this 38 pounder, an absolutely cracking fish, top looking fish, and we're not quite at the 40 mark yet, you know, that's the target, but it's a lovely fish to be catching from this sort of venue. Let's get him back. Well, one final last look before we get him back. It's not every day you catch 38 pounders, and especially here at Sandhurst. I was on a 7-night blank, would you believe it? And this is my first ever carp from here, so I am over the moon. I'm going to get him back because it's absolutely down, and I don't want him to get too wet. Here he goes. Oh, thank you very much, mate. Oh! Just went down my back. Ah, that was really stupid. The next fish that we caught was a low 20 mirror. And while we were sat there, the rain was hammering down. All the trees at Yately are sort of over the swims as such. And you're getting really big droplets of rain coming down and all the mud flicking up over all the stuff. And we're hiding in the bivvy. You know, you can't work in weather like that, especially not with the high-tech camera kit that we're using. And I had a double take. I remember we were all huddled in the bivvy drinking tea, and the next thing they're out there with the cameras, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Well, it's only been half an hour since got those 2 fish back, and the rain hasn't stopped. Just had a little change of clothes to try and dry off. Both the cameramen absolutely soaked through, and I was just making them a cup of tea, and the middle rod has just whacked down and away it's gone. Fish is gone for a bit of weed and it's sort of grating, but it's moving, which as long as it's moving, I'm gonna keep it coming. And there is a bit of weed at the back of the spot. What's happened, the fish has just charged straight through it. Got 3 rods out there on the spot, you know. Quite often you can get another bite straight away. But in this situation, I think with the fish charging through the spot, it's probably unlikely. Oh, look at him, he looks nice. Not big, but nice. Go on. Go on. Yeah. Get in there. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. It's a take. Sorry. Well, number 3, just in the net. Haven't even had the time to unhook him and get the rod back out. And the left-hand rod has absolutely sizzled off. The weather, you know, the weather is absolutely cock on for day bites. There's nobody left and right of me, so no disturbance, you know, no people casting around and stuff. And yeah, perfect conditions. May. Now, would you believe it? Mid-May, raining, overcast. Sandhurst, loads of big uns out there. This is turning into a great session already. Just gently, not going overboard here, just, just taking up the slack. Keeping it moving if I can. Yeah, it's definitely gone through some weed. Well, I've had pressure on him for a minute or so. Nothing's happened. I don't want to pull any harder and pull the hook, so I'm going to ease off. Hopefully the weed that's all pulled down tight around the fish, it'll loosen up a bit. He might kick free, and if not, even when I pull next time, just because the weed has a chance to sort of relax backwards, sometimes they just come free on the second attempt. So I just eased off a bit. Just keep. Yeah, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yeah. That really does look like a lever to me. Come on. Here we go. Come on. There he is. It is absolutely raining cats and dogs. I'm soaked through, but here's the first one, a lovely 25-pounder. Typical example of what you can catch here at Sandhurst. Puckerfish. Let's get him back in the lake and have a look at the carp number 2. Well, fish number 2, and he's a 30-pounder, just over 30 and a half. and conditions are perfect for fishing at the moment. They couldn't be any better, and the fish are feeding. You know, wet weather in May, it's brilliant. But the film crew are having absolute nightmares. The cameras are misting up, and it's not doable. So I'm going to continue to fish, and the film crew come back tomorrow, and we'll pick this up then. I was sort of 24 hours in at that sort of point, so I've just basically repeated the process, which is get the bait back onto the spot, get the rigs back out there. Talking about the rigs that I use for the session, you know, I've said Sandhurst is a really weedy lake, and we're fishing for really big fish, you know, 30s and 40 pounders, and you need the right tackle on to be able to bring these fish to the bank. And my rig for the session was some dark matter tubing onto a hybrid leg clip. If you only just nick that tail rubber just on there quite lightly, as the fish hooks itself, inevitably it shakes its head trying to dislodge the hook from its mouth. That sets the hook, the lead then comes off the clip, and the fish rises in the water and makes it easier to land. I was using a tiger nut hook bait tipped with a piece of plastic corn, and that's quite what I would say a light bait, you know, and when you use a light bait, you're more prone to getting tangled with a light hook bait. So to get round that, I use the coating of N-Trap 20-pound semi-stiff all the way through. The only piece of the rig which is peeled is the hair, and that just gives the bait a little bit of movement, and that was tied to a size 8 choddy hook, knotless knot style. The whipping, that's the important bit, you know, get the whipping down so that the hair exits just past the point. If you haven't wound down the shank far enough, quite often what can happen is you get what I call the hair tangles, when the boilie has come round the shank, and in that situation it does lead to hook pull. So make sure when I was winding down the shank that I was just past the point, and I've got the coating all the way through between the swivel and the eye of the hook, 6-7 inches long. And because of the stiffness in that coated braid and the lightness of the bait and the floating piece of plastic corn on the end, if you throw that in the edge, the lead hits the bottom, it just kicks out, and it's just there. The fish, as it goes in, only has to move 1 or 2 inches and it's hooked. And then the cycle of the night went by. I didn't catch through the night, I remember I didn't catch anything on the night. 30-pound lever is a lovely fish, but we still want to catch that really, really big one. And it was the following morning when that happened. Well, as you can probably see from the light, it's very early in the morning, 5 o'clock to be precise, and finally we've had a take. Left-hand rod again, which has been the money spot. You'll often find that when you're fishing on all three on a spot, sometimes there's a better part of it where they prefer to feed, and that's obviously what this is. It feels like half a tidy fish. It shot off the spot, went into the weed behind, and all grounds are halt like some of those other ones, but I eased off, and by easing off the weed relaxed, and he suddenly came free. And he's now just out there to the left. I remember thinking that when the rod went off that it was a heavy fish, you know, and it was in the weed, and you're thinking, oh my God, don't come off. You know, you're playing it through really thick weed. You're worried that the hook hold might be getting a bit loose after you've pulled harder than you might necessarily want to. You never really know until they're coming towards the spreader block of the net. And I just remember seeing like the bait in the side of its mouth and its head coming towards the net. And again, it was raining. It was a pretty sort of rough situation for filming. But I could see the thickness of this carp's head, and I'm thinking that is a really big fish. And there are a number of 40s in Sandhurst, and that's the reason we were there. Come on, come on, come on, keep it coming. All the way to the block. Oh, that's a big one, that's a big one. I think that's bigger than we think. Let's have a little look. Let's have a little look at that. Oh, hello. Yes. Oh, guys, you're going to check this out. To see that go over the cord was, yeah, a very special moment indeed. Whoa. God, that is heavy. Yeah. That is a sealed unit.
$41.6.
41.6?
Yeah.
Yes! Yes, mate. Day ticket mothership. Yes. If you come to the right venue, such as Sandhurst, you know, there's not just 140 in here, 6, 7, maybe 8 fish over that size. And if you're catching and you're fishing well and getting a few bites, there's every chance something like this could come along. I don't know what this fish is called, but it's 41 pounds and I'm over the moon with him. You know, a really cool Yately carp. It's good to be back in the area, good to break my curse here, you know, after 7 blank nights previous, to come here and have this session. Oh, weird. I've got to put him down, it's heavy. Oh. One last look. We're getting back. A Yately Sandhurst 40 pounder. Oh. There you go, mate. Yes. On the final morning of the session, we caught another common of 35 pounds before we were kicked off of the lake. One thing I should probably mention is I've also got a near raw 30 pound common down there in the net. We didn't actually film that one. It was early and Elliot captured it on the iPhone for the Facebook Live. So that one's down there awaiting to be filmed. One on the rod, and yeah, it's literally we're meant to be out of here in 20 minutes. So I don't know how well we're going to get to film these, but we'll do our best to give you a quick glimpse of them. Because that one's a good fish and this one certainly feels like a good one too. Mate, that's a good fish. Yeah! Yes, get in there. What a buzz! What a buzz! Well, here's the one we didn't film. We were in the middle of packing up and done a Facebook Live, so he's Facebook Live famous, this one. Just over 30 pounds. And the one in the net still is even bigger. So like I say, there's a match on in a minute and the draw's sort of 20 minutes away, so we really need to hurry. So quick look, admire the 30 pounder and let's get him back. Yes. Having a great time. Having a great time. We'll have a look at that, the last one of the morning, 35.12. And what a way to end this series. It's been truly incredible, you know. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that I would catch a 41, a 38, a 35, two 30s, a 25 and a 20, you know. It's been crazy. Incredible fish here at Sandhurst and I've really had a good time, really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it too. There you go. Go on, mate, on your bike. Off he goes. I think to summarise what was supposed to be a series, as in targeting a day ticket 40, hasn't really turned out that way, you know, with the way things happened. But at the same time, I think it really does show what big carp fishing is about. You know, we went to Walthamstow, conditions weren't good, didn't really see anything, and didn't catch anything. And that's quite often the nature of big carp fishing. If you don't have the critical pieces of information and things don't align, then you don't catch. Whereas when we went to Sandhurst, you know, the weather was right, the lake wasn't busy, it was the right time of year, we found the fish, we found a beautiful spot, we got the rods out, fished technically well, baited with the right stuff at the right time, and the results show you. If you go to the right places, you know, day ticket lakes that hold big fish, numbers, not just one. It's all good going to a day ticket lake that has only one big carp, but it's harder to catch just one carp. If you go somewhere that's got 8, 9, 10 40s in it, like Sandhurst has, and you get a few bites by fishing well and doing the right thing, then you can catch absolute monsters.